All right, let's try something else. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. So I'm going to say save as. And I'm going to say font, flake, and pattern, demo. And then I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it into a folder. So I'll go to my desktop. So I'll go over here to my desktop. And I'll make a new folder. And I'll say font, flake, and pattern, demo. And that's the new folder. I'm going to create a folder and I'm going to save it inside there, but I'm going to save it as a PDF. I like to save my files as PDFs, and then but I also make sure that when I save it as a PDF that I make sure that it says Illustrator default, so I can always open it and edit it in Illustrator, and that way, and I have a PDF that almost anybody can open. So I'm going to take my font flake demo, and then I'm going to add here, and let's do something. I'm going to make a pattern, and it's going to be a lot like the font flake, but we're going to have some fun with it. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to grab a new letter form. I'm just like maybe do a G, and then I'm going to find a typeface that might be kind of something sort of. Let me do this. I'll do some fonts. I'll look for some fonts this way. Let me see. I'll look at fonts this way. Kind of come up with something different. Maybe it doesn't have to be something too different. Like I'll just do this. I'll say black. All right, so there's a typical G. All right. So then this time what we're going to do is instead of up here we did rotate, here we're going to do a transform reflect. So I'm going to go to object, transform, reflect. And you can see here that I'm going to reflect on the vertical. It's going to be 90 degrees vertical. And again, I'm going to hit copy. Okay, so you end up with this fun shape. Now you start to see here that in the middle there's this negative space that can form. And I'm going to drag this over. And when I drag it, I'm holding down the Command key, and I'm also holding down Shift because that constrains it so it stays in a straight line. And so I have these two, and I'm also going to hold down the Command key. My type tool turns into the arrow tool, and I'm going to select those two. And then this time I'm going to drag them to the right, and here I'm holding down Command, Option, and Shift with my left hand. And see how this double arrow kind of cursor shows up at the bottom? It looks like double arrows here. Now I have these two, and this time I'm going to rotate them. So I'm going to say transform. Whoops. I'm doing a shortcut. Okay. I'm right clicking on this. It takes me to transform, and I'm going to rotate them. I'm going to go 90 degrees. So I'll go 90, hit copy. Well, actually what I want to do is I want to rotate them, transform, rotate. And this time I don't need a copy. I want to actually do it to these two, so I'm going to say OK. So I end up with this kind of, this is going to be, it'll just be fun. I've never done this before. So in terms of this letter and this typeface. So anyway, this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color of these two, and I'm going to make them say orange. Whoops, that's the outline. I want the fill to be orange. Okay, now I can take these two, and what I'm doing, hold down Command so I can go around this. I select all four, and then I can say, I can drag them to the right, And this time I'm going to select all four, and then I'm going to say object transform. So I'll do the long way here. I'm going to say reflect, and this time I'm going to do it on the horizontal axis. And it looks like it's ended up with oh, I want to copy them. So object transform reflect, and this time copy, and see how it ends up exact like that. And I'm going to reflect them one more time, transform reflect, and this time on the vertical, and say OK. All right, now see how I start to create a pattern here. And now I can grab all four, and I can just drag them now. I can drag them like this, go around all of them, and I can drag them to the right. I'm holding down Command, Option, Shift, and if you have a PC, it will be Control, Alt, Shift. But you start to make a pattern like that, which can be really fun. Now you can see here that that's one way of doing it. So let me do this. I'm going to select them all. This time I'm going to scale them down. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to try another. I'll try another one. So let's see. And this time I'm going to try something like a B. Okay, and then this time I'm going to reflect, transform, reflect, and I'm going to say copy. Then I'm going to take all four. This time I'm going to say transform, reflect, but this time I'm going to do it on the horizontal. Oops, I meant to do copy, so transform, reflect, and hit copy. Didn't do anything because I ended up doing it right on top, exactly the same. So I'm going to say transform, reflect, and it's going to be on the horizontal axis. I'll say copy. All right, so there we end up with this really kind of fun pattern, okay? Because the B looks like a D, then you reflect it this way, you start to see this negative shape in here. And now, when I take this, which is a very symmetrical shape, I can drag it to the right like this. I can change the color of these four. I'll do a different color. And I can see that they're close to touching, so that's kind of a fun thing. Okay, now I'm going to take all 8 of these, go here, and here I'm looking right here. I want to make this negative space right here. I want them to touch. I want this to look like this little football shape. And this time I'm going to reflect it again. So I'm going to arrange, transform, reflect, and this time I want it to actually do it to these two. So I'm not going to hit copy. I'm going to just say OK. So transform, reflect, and okay. So that way I ended up with, I get this pattern. And I can drag these over, being careful to make them touch like that. And you can just have some fun now with this, just by dragging them down like this. Okay. So you can really play. I want you to play with transform, reflect, and transform, rotate, and see what kind of fun patterns you can come up with. Be very aware of these negative shapes, the white in between. You'll end up with some fun things going on there. So again, I want to see you experiment and try some really new things. So have fun with this. Thanks for watching.